Okay, so g'day and welcome back to Malay's Coins and Banknotes, and today we are looking at Malaysia. So if you don't know Malaysia, Malaysia is Malaysia. It has a flag similar to the United States, and it's a very interesting country. So Malaysia does use the ringgit now, but before 1967 they used British Malaya currency. So we're just going to talk about some of the dollar denominations that they did issue during the Second World War. And I don't have any straight settlements banknotes because they're very expensive and also a lot of them are pretty hard to get. I would say they're rare, but the number probably printed is high. So in 1940, even though this note's dated 1941, but they did issue over banknotes. In 1940, they issued low denomination banknotes. I think the first was 10 and 25 cents in 1940. In 1941, they issued 1 to 50 cents. So they issued 1, 5, 10, 20, and 50 cent banknotes. As well, they already had the dollar banknotes in circulation, but a lot of those are pretty scarce. So they did print, this is not it, this is a later version. They printed some 1941, then 1942 they printed 50, 100, $1,000 and $10,000. Those are very expensive. Unless you got thousands of dollars, you're really not going to get the whole collection. Okay, so your lowest denomination that they issued is this 1 cent. So at the current exchange rate of 3 ringgit equals 1 Australian dollar. This is equal to 0.25%. But back in 1941, obviously the purchasing power would have been a lot higher, but I'm not too sure. So this one had George VI head on it, so he was the reigning monarch. It was issued by the Board of Commissioner of Currency Malaya. So previously they issued straight settlements banknotes, and straight settlements was only a few places in the Malay Peninsula. It was, I'm just looking at the, okay, so at the time Malaysia was not a unified country. It consisted of the unfederated states, so Terengganu, Kelantan, Kedah, Perales, Johor. So they were unfederated, so they were pretty much just independents and probably just protectorates. Then we had the federated Malay states, which I need to go to the actual article. It consisted of Penang, Pradek, Negari, Sembilan, Selangor. Then we had straight settlements, which consisted of Singapore, Penang, Dening. I think Dening is currently part of Perak, and also Malacca. So all small places, but the entire Malaysia Peninsula use the straight settlements currency, just issued in those 4 small places. And then you have Sarawak. So Sarawak also issued their own coins, but Malay currency would have been probably the dominant currency, and British North Borneo. So they would have issued low denomination coins up to 25 cents. So all the silver coins, 20 and 50 cents, would have been straight settlements. And they also issued their own banknotes, and they're very expensive. So in 1939, the straight settlements decided to unify the currency. So the Malay dollar, there was a Blackett report in 1938 that suggested that there'll be just one currency board for the whole peninsula, and that's what they're down. So obviously the individual states, while they didn't print their own currency, they probably ordered it and also distributed it. And this currency board would have unified that to give a more, probably a better way of distributing banknotes. So these were the first ones. Yes, and it says in Malay Strait Settlements of Malay States. It's a legal tender. Obviously, it has no serial number on it. On the back is just plain. There's no watermark. And these ones, I believe, were printed. Oh, it's down below. Thomas de la Rue in London. So, and in this condition, you're probably paying about $10. So, a bit expensive. But, you know, if these ones are expensive for the low denominations, imagine how much the high denominations are going to cost. Okay, to 5 cents, yeah, you're probably paying at least $15, $20 for this one that I've seen. If you can get it for under $10 in this condition, I'd just snap it up straight away. So you got the 5 cent, and it's also 1st of July 1941. And from what I've read, although I can't find that much information, is that after the Second World War, these were made legal tender again up until 1948. When did they issue coins again? Okay, during the Second World War, from 1943 to 45, the UK minted quite a lot of coins. 1, 5, 10 cent. And after the war, they just would have actually delivered those. Obviously, not right after. They would have delivered them probably about 1946, I would say. So here's a pinkish red 5 cent, and this is probably one of the better conditions that I've seen. And I can't remember how much I actually paid for it. So that's the 5 cent and the 10 cent. So obviously blue, and they're all the same, and it's just got this, whatever it says in English, it's in Malay on the actual banknote in Jawi script, which is just a type of Arabic script. So, and on the back of this, there is no serial number. There's no watermark, no over security feature. So obviously this is a lower valued coin, and at the time it was a 50% silver of 2.71 grams. So it makes a silver value of about $2.30. So yeah, it's still quite a lot, but still quite low. And so basically, if you're going to buy them for this, you'll be paying at least $50 just for these 3 banknotes. That's how expensive Malay notes are. They just are pretty expensive. All the British notes are expensive, so these are going to cost that much. Imagine how much the other banknotes are going to cost. Like the cheapest dollar banknote you're going to get is this 1959. These cost about $20 in this condition. As you can see, it's pretty poor. All the other denominations are only going to cost quite a lot higher. And these are actually, Malay banknotes are a lot more expensive than the banknotes of China of the time. So a lot of those are actually very cheap and easy to get. And the Japanese banknotes in the 1930s, probably, I think the 100 yen is probably the most expensive. But the 10 yen, costs about, I think, $10. Anyway, so this is a nice one. So they remove the Queen's effigy on this one because they knew the Malay states were going to get independence. And it is, they didn't issue, they removed the effigy on the $10 in 1961, but all the other banknotes still had the effigy up until the countries themselves printed their own banknotes in 1967. So we have the sailing boat, obviously of the Malay Peninsula, probably also of all that area, especially Indonesia. Legal tender for $1. And as you can see, it's $1. So that's why Singapore issues $1. They took over from here. And here we have different coat of arms of Malaysia. So we should have one for the Malay Peninsula. That should be Brunei. Should have one for Singapore. So I think that's Brunei. Sarawak should be Malay states, and that should be Singapore. So maybe that's Singapore in the centre. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the actual coat of arms. All right, and there's North Borneo. Maybe that's North Borneo. I don't know. Anyway, they're the 5. So that's what that represents. So this was a legal tender for the whole of what currently is Malaysia, as well as Brunei and Singapore, which Brunei never joined Malaysia, and Singapore withdrew before 1967. Anyway, hope this helps you with your bank and coin collecting. Let me know what you think, which is your favourite. Obviously, the $1 is my favourite, but these banknotes here are actually a bit harder to get, so hopefully I can get the high denominations sooner or later. Thank you very much, and have an awesome coin and banknote collecting time.